Right, we are live.
Excellent. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the G&T Show, episode 288. I'm Terry Lynn, and this morning we are missing the and the G. However, taking their place this morning is my better half, Kojiro Vance.
Good morning. Yes, I'm part of the B team, I guess, when you need that. Just like every Star Trek episode, there's an A story and a B story. Well, here comes the B story.
Sweet. And of course, our wonderful friend Steve.
Hello, everybody.
Midnight.
Good morning.
How is everybody?
We're great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Even better for seeing a certain trailer, which I'm sure we'll get to later.
Oh, I was gonna say we're totally gonna get to that. Yeah.
I've watched it so many times.
So, Mr. Midnight Shadow, what did you do this week?
Still trying to catch up on all the work I didn't get done in June because of the walking that I did.
Walking thing.
Podcasts, more work, more podcasts, and managed to play a little bit of Stowe.
Oh, great! Did you play the new featured episode?
I did.
And?
Liked it.
Really? Very good. I haven't played it yet. I will, but
I've got to play it because we're on week 2 now, so we've got week 2 rewards, I think, isn't it?
Oh, very cool.
So, yeah, I'll play it again for the extra rewards. So I'm hoping to get round to that today, but I've got 2 shows to edit, 1 to prepare for, and some stats for work to do. So, not sure if I'll actually get round to it.
For those of you who do not know, in Star Trek Online, when a new featured episode comes out, they usually have 4 different items that you can get for playing it. And each one of those items is kind of released the following week. So over a 4-week period of time, you can get all 4 rewards. You get rewarded for playing it on at least 4 occasions. Oh, look who's joining us. We'll let him wake up.
Yeah.
We'll let him wake up. And Mr.
shortly.
Kojiro, what did you do this week?
Oh, you know me. I'm a work-a-day kind of guy, so I spent my week doing work. It was good because my boss was out of town. He'd been out of town for the last 4 weeks, and so we had the last week of that, and he was back Friday, so the party was over. Which actually I said to him when he was back. He laughed at that. So anyway, yeah. So not much more excitement there. You know me.
I do. Very, very well. By the way, very, very well.
No,
Good morning.
better than anybody. Hey, we got somebody else.
Good morning, Sori. Are you doing okay?
I don't know why, but my alarm clock did not go off this morning. So
We figured you just needed the extra
slept.
sleep. Well, welcome. We truly just started recording the show, and we're in the middle of Coffee Clutch. So the good news is, what'd you do this week?
I finished the first draft to my story Unstuck.
Oh, congratulations!
Oh, that's good.
Wow, Mike, that was quick.
Well, I don't know about quick, but so I've got to go over it one more time and make sure that it's ready for beta readers, and then I'll be needing beta readers. The story is due August 15th for their own round of beta reading and editing. So time is limited, but that is what I'm looking for here very shortly.
Well, explain to people what this story is going to be for.
Yeah.
The story is for the Longest Night Watch anthology. It's an anthology book series that is put together every year to benefit Alzheimer's research. Steve's the one that does cancer. I do Alzheimer's, but yeah, it goes to benefit Alzheimer's research. So I think it's a worthy cause, and I put pen to paper to help. So
Very
That's
cool.
great. That's great.
And I'm very excited for you. And it's also a good gig, to be published in such an anthology. So congratulations.
thank you. This story is actually science fiction this time from me, so I think it's a little more in my wheelhouse, and I like it. The story has it moved me a few times, which was
Oh,
well. I don't know if moved is the quite the right word, but um, it was tense when it needed to be tense. It was uh, kind of scary when it needed to be kind of scary. So um, I, I I think I did good.
yay. Oh, that's
N-
great.
Now, Mike, you said you've done this before, right? Worked on this particular type of project before.
The first time the first story was last year for Volume 2.
And you said that this is the first time you've done science fiction. What was your story about previously?
Um, it was fiction, but it was a lot closer to my uh, a lot closer to truth. um, but it was a fiction story. But yeah, it was more of a drama type of
Oh, okay.
of story rather than
In science fiction.
Yeah.
Well, it's great that you're doing something now that's more of what your what your big interests are and such. So that should be exciting.
Thank you. I am, and I'm eager to get it out to my beta readers to see. Well, to get it out to beta readers, I only have one really. Janet, I'm coming for you.
Janet, I'm coming for you.
You don't
Where
need to
can-
reveal. You need to reveal that your team is small. You say my team of editors is going to be reviewing my work, and you know.
But then how am I supposed to ask people if they want to join my
Oh, okay. I
my
see what
team?
you're still recruiting, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah. So if you're interested in becoming a beta reader, please give Mike a shout out.
Yes.
Mike, where can people go to see what you've previously written while they wait for your new story?
The internet. No, let's see. Some other stuff that I've written you can find at certifiedpcdoctor.com. That's my personal website.
Very cool. All right. So we do have a couple of B&B of Busy Little Beaver Productions announcements, I guess you could say. So what's going on with the Lego Adventures of Big Dude and Little Dude?
Episode, I believe this is episode 4. I can't believe I did not write that down. I believe episode 4 is now on YouTube. We just recorded episode 7 last week. So, and then we have 2 special editions that are going to be released sometime between that. So, yeah, we're having fun with it. The special editions, they're a little bit different than what we've done in previous episodes. So, for instance, our main gameplay right now is Lego Dimensions. But the first special edition, we do the house tournament to see who gets bragging rights for the house, and there was a winner crowned in that, and it was not me. And then we had the second one. The boys decided to play Lego Batman while I was away. So that was the second special edition. So yeah, so the special editions just gives us a way to check out something else in the meantime, and then the main gameplay right now is focused on Lego Dimensions. But I am very happy to announce that we made our big multi-episode goal. So, yeah.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Yay. So what else did you do this week? Because I know that Steve was interested. And I am too. You've been working you worked a lot this week.
Um,
You did,
hmm.
didn't you?
I think you threw him for a loop.
Yeah,
I did.
I did.
I threw him back, yeah.
Actual work, yes. I did
Yes,
actually.
actual work.
Yes, I did have some actual work this week too. So, yeah, it was
He's
kind of
essentially been
nice.
driving across Northern California, you guys.
Well, back and forth a bit. So, yeah.
Yay. Well, the reason why is because somebody did ask whether or not you had answered what had you done this week. So I wanted to make sure that we did get that out there.
I was actually asking if you'd said what you were doing, Terry.
Oh, me?
You, because I
look at
don't think we got to you.
I haven't yet. Yeah, that's okay. I work.
One thing I did
Yeah?
do this week that I wanted to mention now that we have Alan here is
Yes.
I saw a new series called Will, Will, and I think Alan would truly appreciate this series. It's about Shakespeare.
I think I saw an ad for it last night on TV. It's on TNT, right? I think. And
that sounds about right. Yeah.
And it's about William Shakespeare. But
yes,
I got the impression from the ad that it's not necessarily historically correct, and
that may be true, but it was enjoyable nonetheless.
It's a little more anachronistic, like maybe William Shakespeare 90100. You know, it's
90210.
You mean everything we see on TV isn't true?
Well, of course, but what I was alluding to was it was more soap opera as opposed to something about like about William Shakespeare. It's more put in that period of time and uses those people, but it's a little bit more of a drama type of thing, Well, like a soap opera. That's what I got the impression.
It definitely has those aspects, but I nonetheless I thought it was fun. It was their take on the character in that time period, and then they mix it up a little bit. The music seems a lot more modern, so you have that almost anchor. Anyways, I really enjoyed it. I thought you might, so I just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, cool. I might take a look at it and see, just because that does interest me. But again, as I was watching the preview, I'm like, oh, okay.
Terry, don't watch it, Terry.
Yeah, no, I kind of already figured that it's probably one of those shows that I would probably just not be. Nope.
Why is that, Terry?
The second episode has a couple torture scenes that I know Terry would just be out of the room and just turning up the volume on her video game.
That's exactly
seriously. In the show, they have a torture scene?
In the second episode, there are 2 torture scenes. They pretty much bookend the episode. Sorry, spoiler. But yeah. Like I said, it may not be historically accurate, and it definitely is one of those like drama things, but it's compelling, and I think you, Alan, would like it.
No, I'll have to take a look, but I'm already starting to sound skeptical.
One of the moving on into by the way, everybody, we have Mike has outdone himself this week. We have so many links that there is going to be no shortage of conversation. And we do, of course, want to talk a lot about what we have seen over the past couple of days, especially out of San Diego Comic-Con. Be that as it may, a couple of the links that we have here talk about Shield of Tomorrow. If you guys haven't seen it, this is the broadcast of the RPG game for Star Trek at Geek and Sundry. And they live stream it on Twitch, and then you can watch the rebroadcasts on Twitch, and then follow up if after the Twitch videos go down or whatever. You can always catch up at Geek and Sundry, and even Alpha now. Are they on Alpha yet? I think they are.
I don't even know what Alpha is.
Oh, okay. Alpha is essentially the new kind of Twitch competitor that was created by Geek and Sundry, the Nerdist, and who's the other one? I don't remember, but it's a subscription service, not unlike Twitch. but the thing I'm hearing, especially because I didn't really get to play our Star Trek Adventures this week, was did you get to watch Shield of Tomorrow? Mike, you said you and Jim were talking about how interesting it got this week.
Yes, I did get to play. So thank you for reminding me. Yes, we did get to play Star Trek Adventures this week, and the Adventures of the T'Pau continued on. I have not seen. Jim is currently he was staying in a hotel room when we recorded, so there is no video evidence yet. But I do believe
it'll take a bit.
He did record it, I do believe. So don't know when it'll come out, but there is evidence that an episode happened, and it was fun. We are improving with each round, and at the end of every episode, I give him my thoughts, and I gave him my thoughts, and there were fewer this time around, so I'm very pleased to say that.
Did you get to watch Shield of Tomorrow at all?
Yes, I did. I watched it yesterday, and they finished their first complete story, The Pool. It was they told it in 3 parts, and it was a really good one. So yeah, very cool.
So just so that I understand, so again, it's a role playing game that you are observing people playing game. Is that correct? Okay.
It's like Critical Role, but
like Critical Role. Okay.
But for Star Trek Adventures. So the game that we are currently playing with Mike and Jim, Star Trek Adventures,
right,
they are playing at Geek and Sundry, and the title of their show is called Shield of Tomorrow.
Okay, gotcha.
And I'm hearing good things about it. Like I watched the first episode, and I thought, I'll have to give it another. I'll have to watch the second and third episodes.
Yeah, well, I don't really watch Critical Role, so I don't have that to compare it to, but I'm really enjoying it. It definitely has gotten better, and although there was a camera accident.
Oh my gosh, really?
This week. Well, part of the set collapsed.
Oh my god.
Ooh.
And it like took out a camera for a short bit. It was interesting. It was interesting.
Oh man.
So yeah.
Live TV.
Live TV. Yeah. Although I watched the rebroadcast, so it's not live by the time I watch it. But yeah.
Got it. Well, give that a chance, you guys. It's Star Trek Adventures is actually a very fun game. It's written and written by a couple of our friends. Dayton Ward's been involved, and Scott Pearson's been involved, and it's really kind of cool.
And if you are interested in playing Star Trek Adventures, Geek and Sundry, they put together a nice little fun article about how to build a Star Trek Adventures RPG character by using and they use Will Riker as an example.
Oh, okay.
So
cool.
There's the article for that. So yeah.
Oh,
it's
that's
kind
neat.
of fun.
Very cool. And it's and also if you are interested in playing, my timing for playing our game has kind of sucked recently, and if you have interest in I don't know, committing yourself to a weekly game, let us know. We could always use some backup characters, I think. Cute. I'm sorry, I just got my computer just said, okay, it's time to do this. And it blocked my view. I apologize. All right. A Star Trek TNG warp core for your apartment. What the heck is this?
A fan. Now this is a pretty awesome fan, if you ask me.
Holy crap.
He created for himself a nearly life-sized warp core model, working with lights and sounds for his apartment. So it's pretty.
Holy
pretty
crap!
cool.
This thing is huge.
Yeah.
So and there's even a video. That's wild. So a fan has created a working or a model of a warp core for his apartment, and that has got to be the trippiest thing I've ever seen. Does it do anything other than it's just a huge mother effing lamp?
Does the warp port do anything than just be a lamp?
I was gonna say, wouldn't it be cool if it was like a microwave oven?
Oh yeah, that would be kind of cool. Yeah, but no.
Wow.
That's wild.
I have to say that's somebody with a lot of extra time on their hands.
What is going on? I've copied and pasted the link like 4 times, and every time it's the William Riker link.
Oh, strange.
At least on my end. I don't know what's going on. I'm still half asleep. I just woke up.
And Robert Reyes, just so you know, Robert Reyes asked, do you need to roll a natural 20 to do the Riker maneuver? Oh, that would be a very bad thing in this game. It's actually a little bit backwards. In Star Trek Adventures, your goal is to roll lower than your stats in order to be a success. If you overroll your stats for a particular effort, then you fail at the task.
Yeah, so in other words, 20's bad.
20's really bad.
1s are good.
1s are very good. 1 is a critical roll. There you go.
That just doesn't sound as good, though. I mean, we say, "Hey, roll a natural 20." I mean, that sounds
Right?
that has a feel to it. Rolling a natural 1, that doesn't really seem
Right.
to work for me.
Now it's true. It's true though. And continuing on with what we are calling our unofficial productions era or area, Seth we didn't know really where to put information that came out about Orville. So this is where we're doing it because as far as we're concerned, it's just a big fucking fan production.
That's
it's
how
official.
I do it. Yeah,
It's kind of how we
it's
feel
an
about it. It's
official
just like
fan production.
it's just a big galaxy quest. If you guys have seen any of the stuff that's come out of San Diego Comic-Con regarding anything, which has just been enormous, trailers just hit the jackpot yesterday. Holy crap, everything
I've only
came
seen
out.
like 3 trailers, but I've only gone looking for 3 trailers.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and it wasn't just Star Trek or Orville or anything. It was also Justice League, I think, came out yesterday.
That's one of them that I saw.
It was just a lot. Well, Seth MacFarlane's. Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say we're in that cycle right now where we're just leading up to the series premieres of everything. So
Right.
we're gonna be seeing a lot of stuff like that now.
Yeah.
Exactly. Either way, there is I'm actually kind of confused, but knowing Seth MacFarlane, what the hell? They're offering a cryogenics sweepstakes.
Yes. And it is exactly what it sounds like.
Cryogenic sweepstake. So what is the sweepstake?
You can win to get yourself frozen and reawoken in the year 2417.
Okay.
You heard that right. Fans can enter for the chance to win a membership to the cryopreservation program, along with all the bells and whistles we've come to expect from such an SDCC activations, of which FX, Amazon, and many more have up this year. One applicant will be randomly selected for the opportunity to be cryopreserved at the end of his or her life and revived in 2417.
True story.
Wonderful.
Oh God, he makes me laugh. Oh, that would be. I'm sorry, that's just hilarious. That's funny shit. But there you go. If you guys want to enter, and if you win, then you get to be put on ice until 2417.
No, I'm assuming that they will wait till you're dead before they put you on,
or
close to it.
Yeah.
But see, here's the problem with that. Okay, so I plan on living a long life.
Yes.
So if I were to win this, I live to be in my 90s or something, and then I'm going to get frozen. I'm going to wake up in 24 whatever. I'm going to be 90 years old.
Right.
Yes, but it's 2417. So whatever technology to extend your health and or cure your diseases or whatever, you may be able to benefit from, assuming you have insurance.
That's a big roll of the dice.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
considering this country's current take on science, I'm not putting a whole lot of faith that healthcare will be advanced in that area. But we shall see.
Well, speaking of free rides to the future, I want to point out another link that I have. The new X Prize, A Flight to the Future, A New World to Consider. They have released their details, the story details, and a place that I guess kind of showcase your entry for the X Prize on this website. So essentially, what it is, the website is a place to where you get to see what other people are writing. You get the premise, the initial story that sets the stage for what is to come, and you write and contribute your story, which is what the world of 2037 looks like, so 20 years in the future, what that world looks like, and hopefully it's an optimistic one, because that's kind of what they're looking for, is optimistic stories about what the future looks like, so we can have something positive to build towards or to work towards. This is more of like a short-term goal, if anything. So, but check it out and enter your stories if you have them.
That's really cool. And the prize for that again is what?
It's like a trip to Japan, $1,500. I mean, there's a lot to it. Let me get the page open.
That's really cool. And here I am like, trip to Japan.
You just want a trip to Japan.
I really do. You know that.
It's a $10,000 prize package, including a trip to Japan. Let's see. Round trip airfare to Tokyo on ANA Airlines. 4 nights in a 4-star hotel. $1,500 spending cash. GoPro Heroes 5 Ultra HD camera.
Nice.
ILI handheld universal translator, and honorary membership on the acclaimed Science Fiction Advisory Council.
Oh, that's kind of fun. Very cool.
There's contest rules, terms, conditions, all that stuff is at the bottom of the page. So be sure to check those out if you're going to enter.
Read the fine print, everyone.
Yes.
Please.
I've got a story idea for it. I don't know if I'll try. I'll try. I've got a story to finish first.
Yes, you do. Okay. Well, we're gonna. How are we gonna handle this, Mike? Because there's so much news about Discovery, and we've got it under two. We've got it under convention news, and we have it under television news. So we're gonna merge them.
I say we just throw darts at it.
Yeah, no shit. Holy moly.
It's pages and pages and pages.
Oh, so much stuff. All right, so let's just start off with everybody. Steve, Alan, everybody. Okay, I am assuming we have all watched the most recent trailer for Star Trek Discovery, yes?
Which one, the Netflix or the standard?
I didn't get to see the Netflix one because it said I was in the wrong country.
And people who are in other countries can't see the CBS one.
Wow.
Yeah.
I don't know how I did it, but I got to watch the Netflix one.
Okay.
I wish I had shared that link. I'll track it down.
Okay. So we'll start with you, Steve. You got to see the Netflix one. What were your impressions?
I watched it more than a few times. I liked it.
I know that, of course, there's still, as the fandom is wont to do, they are, of course, having conniptions about certain things, but the overall quality of it, I mean, you're excited about the show, or does it make you want to watch it that much more?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
There it is. Thank you, Steve.
That's okay.
Cool.
You do what you need to do, my dear.
It's not letting me. Damn you, Netflix.
So yeah, as far as I know, the Netflix link is for people outside the US. And then the CBS link for CBS All Access, it's actually CBS All Access's page, is for the people in the US. And there are two different trailers. Although I'm not sure. What did you see in the Netflix trailer? I want to know.
I'm not sure how much different they are because, of course, I haven't yet been able to see a copy of the CBS one. But I think the fact that they're released on the same day, it's probably the same trailer, but
No.
It's got the Netflix branding and it's got the date as in the day after for the CBS one.
It is not the same.
It is not the same. So what's the difference?
About a minute and a half.
Holy crap, it's that much longer?
Wow, that's a lot.
Well, I don't know if it's that long. I just found the video. So here's the link. It is substantially longer. What they have done is it's the new trailer plus the old trailer, and what, to my untrained eye, because I've only seen it, the two new trailers like twice, what appears to be some new snippets from that are from neither trailer. So some new content plus the first two. Terry, try that link.
Okay.
So
all right. It's loud, so I'm gonna hold off for a bit.
I mean, I could be completely wrong, but I that's what I believe. I saw.
That one I have seen, and it's literally the first video with snippets of the first one put in. But I'm wondering, because I saw that on Film Select, and I do wonder, because if you see, that video has Netflix branding on. They've literally got the Netflix one, and then they've stuck on bits from the first one. So I'm wondering if they've just made their own.
Okay, so it might be a merged.
It could be. It
Yeah.
could be then.
So I don't know if that is actually the CBS one.
Interesting. Well, I can't. Again, the official Netflix one is region locked. So those of you outside the US, you get to watch it. So congratulations on that. But the trailer that we saw, and yes, Sun Say All, the USS Europa apparently gets its ass kicked.
That's the name of the ship that got blown to bits. Okay.
Yeah. There's the first thing I did. Every Star Trek nerd turned his or her head upside down to read the name of the ship, and it was the USS Europa.
And pause the video going, which one's that?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, when I watched it, sadly, I was on my phone, so I couldn't. It was just not convenient to do all that.
And so I think we all kind of have an idea as to what happens. And it was something that we for all intent and purposes, I think that just from the leaks and from what they have told us about the show, isn't that big of a surprise. So it sounds to us like Commander Michael Burnham, who is Sonequa Martin Green's character, gets involved in some kind of a probably a negative situation on the bridge of her ship, which is the Shenzhou. Is that the name of it?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
During a confrontation with the Klingon Empire, which inevitably starts some kind of a conflict, or armed conflict between the Federation and the Klingon Empire. And then this trailer comes out, and it kind of substantiates everything that we've been thinking about in that regards, because now we have Sarek informing her that, or not Sarek, it's actually Jason Isaacs' character, Captain Lorca.
Yes,
Lorca.
Kind of saying to her face, as she takes on what is presumably the first officer's role, where he says, you've started a war. Would you like to help me end it?
And she's in the brig for like a portion of the.
Yeah, I have a feeling she ends up in the brig when the ship is kind of destroyed. And because it's a force field type of situation, that's how she survives.
The force field is kind of interesting.
Yeah, I thought it was cool.
The visuals on this trailer are
Amazing.
they. I had seen something that they were aiming to make it almost cinematic in scope. You know, very movie like. And the special effects that I've seen are that. There's stuff that competes with the 2009, you know, the Kelvin universe stuff that we're getting in theaters. I mean, for me, it's almost like there's nothing.
And there's a lot of people who are looking at this going, it's very, very JJ-esque, and to a degree, as far as art direction and art production is concerned. Yeah, I think you're right. But the thing is I never had a problem with that. I never had a problem with the way that
Oh,
JJ
neither
Trek
did
looked.
I.
Yeah.
Right.
But well, the lens flares, but
Well,
that's not an issue as much anymore.
I didn't.
But
Yeah.
it's but I mean, and there's also things that they definitely took from that universe. The way that the ships warp in, you know, I mean that for me that was one of the big moments that we saw, is how the ships appeared in the new trailer.
But that's
And
the thing, we don't know whether that's going to be a standard, because part of the trailer talks about a new way to travel. So that could be the look for a new propulsion system that
But it
we're
was
unaware
Klingon
of.
ships.
It was Klingon ships,
It was
yeah.
Klingon ships warping in. So that
Yeah,
is
but
the
that's
standard
what-
warp. That's a standard warp.
No, but what
I
I'm
would
saying
say.
is part of the storyline is the reason this tension is going is because they've come up upon this new way of travel through the Klingons who have created it, possibly. Just like we don't yet know.
Yeah, we don't. Although just the pure visuals on it to me are brilliant, because it's something that we've always kind of, you know, the sciencey tech nerds that have always watched Star Trek, you know, you kind of want that updated science. And, you know, when a ship is traveling at warp and then stops, what happens? It just fucking appears. Really, is that if you're thinking about it, it's just going to fucking appear. It's just going to pop right in. So I loved the way that looks. And that's something that I've always appreciated about the JJ movies, is how those visuals look as far as warp drive, warp capabilities, and what it, you know, your imagination of what it might really look like.
In previous incarnations of Trek, we've been following the ship.
Right.
And in JJ Trek, we are in the action when the ship arrives. We're seeing it from the other side. And in Discovery, we get to see that perspective again.
And what I like as well is that even in Star Trek The Next Generation, it was considered to be a bold move to use short distance warp drive, right? It was the Picard maneuver.
Yes.
And that's what it would look like. It would look like a ship just appears. It just appears.
Two places at once.
Right. I just love this. I'm very excited by that particular visual.
What pisses me off is the amount of people saying it's not Star Trek because they can't even get the way warp drive works right. And it's just like, seriously, how many times during Star Trek, between all the different series, the movies, did they change the effect of warp drive? Just the way it engages has changed so many times. It's just like, shut the fuck up.
Well, that's the other thing too. I don't know. I mean, I kind of laugh and I go, what was with the rainbow streaking?
Yeah, that's the one that always irritated me.
So
the big stretch of it going off into infinity. You know, it's like, come on. It was, but you bring up a good point. I mean, every episode, every movie. I shouldn't say every episode, but every movie or every series has approached these things slightly different, and it's just an effect. I mean, you know. People need to stop exploding their heads over this, you know. Just start getting, you know. Wait till the series comes on and then see what you like about it, you know.
The thing is, what gets me is it's just like, what do you expect them to do to bring out something that looks like it's from the 60s, except it's in HD or 4K quality? It's just like, seriously, just like get over yourself. Stop being so elitist, really, just like
And
the original Star Trek
And I'll
was.
tell you, if they did that, there would be a whole faction going, "Why can't they update this? I mean, God, look at the way special effects are now. Look, this looks so dated."
Well, from what I heard, is the exact same thing happened when it came to the Next Generation starting. Loads of people going, "That's not the way it should look. Why is that different?"
Right.
So,
Right.
from the thing is, well, I was a little bit young when it all came out, and I didn't watch it for years after. But yeah, from what others have told me, the same thing happened before it got sort of relaunched with the Next Generation. And you're always going to get people like that. It's just like, oh, it looks crap. It's just like,
Right. Right. It's
So Sun has something in the chat room. She goes, but Midnight, Stowe did that. Why can they copy Stowe? Because they own it. I love it. I am very excited about the visuals in it. I think it's beautiful. I love the fact that it's updated for a new generation. I love the fact that it looks you know, I like the sleekness of it. I like the kind of the polished. I really do like the polished look of it. And what I like the most about it is that it's no longer, oh my God, it's no longer just a static bridge scene. Look at how much of the ships we've already seen just in the trailers.
right.
This isn't just a performance on a stage of a bridge anymore. It's because they have allowed themselves money to actually do what we always wanted to see in our other shows.
have you seen the image of the new phaser?
The one that was posted by Jonathan Frakes?
It's so good. I like.
Beautiful.
It's just the fact that what they've done is, you know, in the original series, there's a handful of episodes where instead of the phasers that we sort of got used to later on, they had the little laser pistols, and they'd got the ends where they'd got 3 different settings. You saw it in the cage, where they sort of changed the end to determine what type of beam came out of it. It's like they've mixed that laser pistol with the phaser, and it looks so good.
It's really cool. I love it. I think it's great. The one thing also I want to kind of address with regards to the advancement of technology is that this is a fantasy show. It really is. It's a fantasy science fiction show that's supposed to take place like 300 years in the future from us.
Yeah.
And I would think that just by looking at the past 100 years of the advancement of technology of the human species, just look back and say, okay, this is 2017. In 1917, what was technology like? And look at what has happened in the past 100 years. And then triple that geometrically.
Yeah, well, you
and
just
say,
got to have a look.
What's it going to be in 300 years? Okay, you know what? It's not going to look like a fucking show from the 1960s. It's just not. We're not going to have toggle switches. We're not. It's going to be advanced technology. And so what may seem like magic to us now is what I want them to put into the show for the future. Because that's the way it was supposed to look in the 60s. It was all supposed to be, you know, all of this magic, but it gave inspiration to scientists to actually make that fucking shit occur. That's what's so cool. And that's what I want. I don't want this to look like 1960s. I don't want older technology that looks plausible back 40 years ago. I want technology that isn't plausible today that gives somebody the impetus to go make it happen.
Yeah, because the thing is, in the original series, you've got lots of episodes where they're using tape reels. And it's just like, if you saw that in a TV show today, you'd be going, what the fuck?
You laugh your ass off.
You're just like, why have they got that in there?
Well,
There'd be kids going, what's one of those?
What, Steve, you're gonna have to understand is that Alan and I, we met a month before Star Trek Next Gen's premiere.
Yes. We met in August of 87.
And we watched TNG together, and I remember looking at what they call what we all call pads, right?
Mm.
The idea of having like a tiny little, almost
Handheld computer.
handheld device that you just touched and it did anything you wanted, that was fucking magic. That was magic to us. We didn't have, there weren't even fucking cell phones. I mean, there were, but they were what?
There were bricks that you held up to
bricks,
your
man.
head.
Yeah.
And that was holy shit.
Well, the truth is, these series, they do things like that. They put in these cool technology things, like it's going to be so futuristic, and then we actually catch up to that within 20 or 30 years. Now, obviously, we don't have transporters and all that kind of stuff, but the little handheld things are. Well, yeah, I know what you're getting to. but the point is that those kinds of little technology things like the pad, yeah, it did seem like it was very unusual, and it was a cool thing that they put into there. And now we have that kind of technology now. And so the thing is, okay, so let's say you were going to reboot TNG right now. You're going to update it. You're going to make it different. And I know that makes people go, oh, well, the continuity isn't. You know what? Get past it. Move on. I think the important thing about these new Star Trek iterations is not about all of that, like, almost like canon-like production value. It's like, let the production value change. I don't care that it looks different. What I care about is, are the stories good?
Yes.
Is the soul of Star Trek still there? That's what's really going to be important. I don't care if a Klingon looks different. I don't care if the ship is a different shape. I don't care. What I care about is the sensibility.
Okay,
that's what's important.
Here's a perfect example. A perfect example of what I don't like or think people just can't get off of is, to me, it's about character, right? It's always been about character and making sure that the stories. So the stories that Kirk and Spock and McCoy and Scotty and Uhura and Chekhov and Sulu created are the stories that are supposedly the ones that you're supposed to carry through. So we have Archer, now we're going to have Discovery, and then it picks up from the Kirk era after that. So help me God. Somebody posted on Twitter yesterday was, Jim Kirk, and they had a GIF of Kirk bouncing off during a fight scene, right? Bouncing off a wall and landing on the person with his butt. And they said Jim Kirk is the only person who's ballsy enough to attack somebody ass first. All right. That was fighting for the 1960s audience, and it was cool, right? If so help me God, if you saw Picard hitting somebody ass first, wouldn't you be laughing your ass off?
Yeah.
Okay.
It'd take you out at the moment.
So an ass first attack should not be happening.
And today's audiences would not even. I mean, today's audience, they want the realistic ninjutsu type moves. They want it to look like an actual fight, not
and with talented, trained personnel.
Yeah, they want MMA on TV.
Well, that's true. They do.
That's the kind of fighting that we have grown accustomed to. So trying to show the classic Trek type of fighting from the 60s in today's audience, it's a joke. People are not going to think that it's serious because all you got to do to counter it is, it's just.
Yeah. So now that you are back,
the audiences have evolved.
Yes.
With
television. God, yes.
And the show has to appeal to today's audience.
And by today's audience, that means anybody under the age of 30.
Well, the thing is, the audience they're targeting are actually not Trekkies, because 99.9% of Trekkies are actually going to go and watch Discovery, regardless of what they say. The people they are targeting are people who have not seen. Same with this whole JJ thing. The target he was aiming for were people who have not watched it before.
Correct.
Yep.
And look at how many fans he brought into the original series.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're absolutely correct. I mean, I remember talking to people at work and when the JJ Trek first came out, and it was kind of funny because there was such genuine excitement when some people would talk to me about it, about, oh, this and this. And of course I was one of those people. It's like, oh geez, it's not Trek, which I've gotten past at this point. But what was amazing was just how excited they were about it. And you know what? It did gateway them back into the television series. And so eventually discussions with those people wasn't just about the JJ movie. It turned into discussions about the other series. So it is, when looking back at it, going, yes, absolutely. They were looking at a different demographic and market when they were doing those movies, because they knew that the people who were the diehard fans were going to come along anyway. But these new people are going to get excited about it and find themselves in the fandom in a way that they weren't going to be before. So,
and it's going to be our job to make sure they're welcomed.
Well,
right.
Yeah, of course. And I mean, it's one of those things where the current fandom, how many TOS fans are left? Not as many as there used to be.
True.
How many TNG fans are left? They're starting to get to the age where we're starting to see some of our friends go.
Yeah.
It's sad to say, but it's true. There's going to come a point when there's going to be fewer and fewer fans of TOS, of TNG, even Voyager. I mean, that it's a fact of life, and the only way to keep the show going is to bring in new fans. And with JJ's, with the Kelvin universe, and now with Discovery, these are opportunities to do that. With the Kelvin films, they succeeded. They brought in a lot of new fans. Thank goodness. That only ensures that Trek's going to be around a little while longer, another generation's worth. Discovery, that it's going to add another generation. It's going to keep it going for another 15, 20 years worth of fandom.
My son I played the trailer for him this morning when he got up, and he was so excited.
That's so awesome. That's so awesome. That thrills me to no end. I think it's wonderful. So now that we've got Mike back, I do want to ask him, because there is one of the biggest things that a lot of people are tenuously, they're very hesitant about, of course, is the drastic change in the way that Klingons look. And Mike, seeing as though we know that you're passionate, and I know that you've been very supportive of the potential look of the change, I understood that this week that some news came out about the reasons they're kind of writing in why they may look different. Can you speak to that?
I only glanced at the article, but essentially it comes down to that it's different houses. Now, I've always theorized that it was maybe an ancient house, and that I could get behind. I'm not sure about the whole different houses thing. I mean, it's certainly a possibility, and I'm gonna wait to see more. But that's kind of the explanation.
That's already been established, though, just by forehead pattern.
Yes, forehead pattern is, kind of indicates what house or what bloodline your a Klingon is from.
Right.
But these Klingons, granted, are vastly quite a bit different.
Yeah.
But again, I want to see how they actually do it, in how it's handled in the show. Before I really come down on it. But so we'll see. I mean, they are definitely taking them in a new direction. They almost look a little more insect-like on the new iteration, but that's not a bad thing.
Go ahead. Sorry, are you just thinking it's insect-like because of what we saw of the Xindi, because the uniforms are quite similar, or if you had not seen Enterprise before, would you ever have thought that?
Well, it looks insect-like in that it looks like they have an outer.
They actually look like they're wearing armor.
No, not armor. I'm referring to their skin, their ridge pattern. It looks like crap. I can't think of the damn word because I'm so damn tired. Okay, insects. They've got the outer. They have like their bones on the outside. I can't think of the damn word.
Oh, like
Exoskeleton.
an exoskeleton.
Exoskeleton. That's what these Klingons look like. They have some of the way that their ridge patterns are laid out. It almost looks like an exoskeleton. So that's kind of why it lends to that almost insect-like appearance.
Thing is, for me,
Well, I was going to say, to me, this was kind of my take on it, because when I first saw it, I said, well, yeah, they are quite a bit different. And again, but here's the thing, and this was always something I always thought was kind of odd about Star Trek too, is, they go to a planet and everybody's the same on the planet. And, let's face it, if an alien race came to our planet, depending on where they landed, they are going to see different versions of our species. Of course, the one thing that's probably the most obvious in our species is different skin colors and things like that. But there are varieties depending on different races within our species. Why wouldn't that happen on other planets? Couldn't there be a variety of different Klingon races that actually have some physical differences? Some of them may be as subtle as human ones, but maybe some of them are more drastic in their. Maybe that's something we can look at and accept and say that, there's a faction of Klingons that we've just never seen before, but they may live on the other hemisphere and they have a different sensibility and a different culture.
Nick had suggested the idea that that other variants, other variety of Klingon could be possible. Maybe they mixed with some of the locals on other planets, and that could be what we could potentially be seeing here. So yeah, I mean, it's certainly possible. I mean, the Empire is a large place, and
right.
they've been spacefaring for hundreds of years longer than humans in the Star Trek universe. So it's possible that they've been getting it on with the local population, and that was one of Nick's theories, and it definitely holds up. But I think my initial thought was that these were an ancient line of Klingons. They do have that more primitive look to them, in terms of how they appear. So that's kind of where I was going, and I saw another article that mentioned that possibility, but again, this week's been so busy, I just haven't had a chance to read everything.
Picture. Pardon me. The picture that came out from last week before San Diego Comic-Con of Mary Chieffo and Chris Obi as two of the Klingons, a female Klingon and another warrior, were, in my opinion, it was the first time I actually sat back and went, okay, guess what? Not only am I okay with the design process and the art direction with regards to the Klingons, I'm actually really excited about it, because I look at their armor in this gorgeous, pokey, it would be something spiky. It would be something spiky, because these are, at their cost as their warriors. And it's almost like this beautiful blend of Elizabethan and samurai, which kind of goes, if you think about it, with regards to the history of the Klingon Empire, is this kind of structure of a formality and this royal lineage along the lines of a feudal honor-bound society. I love the art direction on this, and I'm gaga over it. I'm absolutely gaga over it. So while a lot of fans, I can understand, boy, this is a big change in how they look, I look at this going, holy crap, it's right. It feels so right to me. I'm loving it. And I'm absolutely in love with the way that these, and the trailer that came out yesterday, and hearing the howl, the death howl. Oh my God, that was so cool.
Well,
that was cool.
we're talking about Klingon costumes at this point, the Torchbearer
Oh,
costume has come out, and I have to say, people were complaining about how difficult it is to cosplay as Starfleet because it does of Discovery. Pulling off a Klingon torchbearer costume is going to be. I mean,
yeah.
you have to 3D print this bitch. I mean, that's the only way you can make this thing.
I'll
You
tell
have
you.
to 3D print it in sections and build it like an Iron Man armor.
Okay, so take what you just said, right, with regards to we all know that the costume designers. Here's the thing. Did the costume designers make things difficult on purpose? No.
Well,
No.
I
The costume designers got a budget.
yeah, they definitely got money to
They
to
got, they
they
got
definitely had money
money.
to throw at this, but I don't think it was so much that they were making it difficult, but I think for cosplayers, but I think there was that, let's throw the gauntlet, let's see if we can challenge them.
Okay. Now,
But
we also have to understand that two of the people who helped design these costumes are also judges, permanent judges on Face Off. They were given a
I
boatload of
thought,
money to do what they do on a professional level
oh yeah,
and they shine, don't they? They do
oh yeah.
exactly what if oh,
You
damn,
can you
these
can
guys are
see. I
amazing.
mean, even the on the Klingon armor. You know how the Starfleet has the little deltas built into the side panels and
Yes.
people. The Klingon armor has the Klingon trifold
Uh-huh.
imprinted as a background pattern
It's so
for the
pretty.
whole damn thing. I mean, my new Facebook image, my little profile thing, is of the giant Klingon trifold, but you can see in the background the intricate detail of the little trifolds that they used as like mesh, and it's like that's beautiful. That
It's
is beautiful.
I agree. Now, what about the redesign of the Batleth?
There's a redesign of the Batlet.
Oh my god, you haven't seen it?
I missed this.
Oh
Where?
my
Why did I miss
god.
this?
It looks like it's made out of fucking bone, dude. It's
Somebody
really amazing.
find me this. You mean it's not made out of Kalis's hair
Somebody
anymore?
posted a picture from SDCC yesterday on some of the Klingon weaponry, and it all looks.
I saw the Datach, the new Datach.
It
It
might be
does
that.
it
I
does
would.
look like bone. It does look like, but
Yeah,
it also, oh man.
it's so cool.
In fact, one of the pictures. Let me see if I can find it. There's so many links. There's so many links. Um, interesting. If that's the new Batlet, interesting.
Yeah, that's kind of it, isn't it? I just love it. I think it's beautiful. And I love the way that it's got the hook on one side. Holy shit, that's mean. Oh, so cool. So yes, there is a new picture that was taken by Trek Movie. They posted it on Twitter and on Facebook of some of the weaponry that they have posted. By the way, Star Trek Discovery had an entire almost museum set up at San Diego Comic-Con. And it's my understanding it might be making an appearance at STLV.
It would not surprise me if it did. I think I had the impression that it was like one of those pop-up restaurants, except it was a pop-up museum.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, that would not surprise me, and it wasn't even part of SDCC proper. It was outside,
Oh, look at
nearby.
that. Those are beautiful. The art
That's a
and
mechlith. I
oh
can
my
get
god,
behind that
you guys,
mechlith.
this stuff is gorgeous. I look at this and I'm like, you know what though? Cosplayers will complain, but deep down inside, every cosplayer sees this as an extraordinary challenge. And if they could come off doing anything remotely close to this, it would be an extraordinary feat for a cosplayer. And
It's almost like these costumes. You have to add 3D printed elements to your cosplay. They up the ante not only do you have to be able to sew and you know do
And
whatever
mold and carve. You
whatever the
have to be a
original
freaking
stuff
artist, yeah.
that cosplayers did before, but now there's that 3D printing element that you have to add to your costumes. For instance, on the for the Starfleet, after thinking about it, it's almost as if they 3D printed those deltas right onto the fabric. That's what it really seems like. Not that it's stenciled, although that's one way to make it, but it's almost as if they 3D printed it. So that's what I believe that this new era of costume making is featuring, is a 3D printed element.
Well, here's another thing though too, is that when the other series, you know, were being produced, they were being done on a quality of television that was not as detailed as what we have now.
Right.
Now with HDTV, we can
Yeah.
see the minutia of detail that we couldn't see before.
Especially
Because
4K.
of that, and because of that, they have to be all that much better at making these things look like something. I mean, in the original series, they could get away with, oh, let's just find this little object and I'll spray paint it and nobody will notice it because it's gonna be so small, and the quality of that image is going to be, they can get away with it. And if you look at props from TOS, the one thing you're often amazed about is how cheap it looks, and how really that was the prop. I mean,
Yeah, it was held
because
together with duct tape and glue, and you
yeah,
could see the
because
duct
nobody
tape.
could really see the detail. But now you can go in and see such detail. So designers are going, well, then let's take advantage of that and let's make this stuff really, have a lot of style and design.
Mhm.
And so I think the upped ante is less about, trying to challenge or whatever. It's really about, hey, people are going to see this, and I don't want to be embarrassed by creating a prop that people are going to look at and go, well, that's stupid. They want to see something that has some look and style to it.
Well, not just that, it's also excellent business sense. CBS owns all the product rights. If these things are hard to make, then they bring these out as things that people can buy. More money for CBS.
Right.
Well, there's a point there too.
Absolutely. And you don't think Anovos is, drooling here?
Yeah.
The idea that Anovos might be able to, I mean, look at what Anovos has done with, and before everybody, if Anovos has the license as well for Star Wars, and they have finally been able to find a way to mass produce the kind of plastic pieces needed for the stormtrooper outfits, and they sell the stormtrooper, or the even for Rogue One and the newer versions of Star Wars, they sell these, and yes, they're expensive, but they have found a way to mass produce them at a way to at least make them semi affordable for people who are really hardcore.
And profitable for themselves, of course.
Exactly. Profitable for themselves. And yes, you will still be able to find a way to make them for yourself. Hey, great. If you've got the time and, yes, the money to be able to produce them on your own. But really, at the end of the day, Anovos is looking at this going, holy crap, we could, they're the ones who get to sell this shit. That's fucking amazing. Oh my God. The torchbearer outfit alone is just, it's so beautiful. Oh my God, it's so amazing. It's so amazing.
Just going back to the way the Klingons look, and sort of the way even the weapons and that are. Can I just say and remind people saying they don't look like Klingons, is go back and watch the original series, and then go and watch even Next Generation, or going back to the TOS movies. Oh, look, they look different, because as the decades went on, production value went up, budgets went up, things changed. And we've already had that in what we call lore. So don't go pissing on Discovery when, one, you haven't seen it, and two, they've done exactly the same thing that they did back in the 80s and the 70s.
Good point.
Yeah.
I know that we're I know that we're having an interesting discussion in the chat room right now with regards to the details on some of the weaponry that we've seen for the Klingons. And there seems to be a slight, but nothing horrible, disagreement as to whether or not the Klingons would, for lack of a better term, decorate their weaponry.
Oh,
And
I think they would totally decorate their
thank you so
weaponry.
much, Mike. I
Yeah.
agree.
I mean,
Well,
they are a culture. I don't want to say obsessed with death, because that's not the right way to describe them. But they are a warrior race, so they have this unique relationship with their own mortality, right? So so to me, it would not be outside the realm of possibility to see them decorating their weapons, their objects of honor, with things, with the stories that they tell. I mean, we've seen Klingons tell, with song and story, how they celebrate battle. This is just a new way we have not
Yep.
seen before, because we could not see it before. The definition on television just couldn't handle it. Now we can see the individual stories of the record of battle that weapon has lived through.
Exactly. That's what I would see that as. Yes.
That's what this is.
I would see that as too. I would see that any carving or anything would have substantial meaning to the actual user, with regards to maybe the battles that he or she had seen, the battles that the actual item had seen. It's a legacy item. These
Yeah.
things are legacies, so I'm sure that they get passed down.
It would be like in World War II, or the image of airplanes with those like notches on the side.
Yes.
for
Yes,
every
with the
kill that they
decorations
had.
on the side. Exactly.
I mean, it's along those same lines, except this is for their particular culture, and I can totally see this happening.
Yep.
I mean,
I agree as well.
I can also see, Klingons decorating the outside of their ship to represent how many kills they've had.
Yep.
It,
I agree. I really do. I always thought of that stuff. I remember I told you, I said, I've always had this wonderful kind of fantasy that even as the relationship between the Federation and the Klingons evolved, but the Klingons still have a need to have that it would be perceived as bad luck to go out in a perfect ship. That it has to see battle for it to be, kind of like right now we use champagne bottles to crack it open, and it's a tradition, and it's also
everybody fires a phaser.
It's an odd blessing. I always thought that it would be a tradition for a new ship to be quote unquote christened by having it bumped with a perceived or a like an enemy, almost like that the Klingons in a new ship go out and then like challenge Federation, and that there's like, okay, I have to get a scratch on my thing, so I'll just go out and challenge my best friend over in the Federation, and I'll just bump them. I always thought that would be hilarious.
It's kind of funny though, because I'm in the chat room. I'm kind of looking at it, and there's an allusion to the fact that, well, they always used to just sing songs. I never really saw them decorate weapons before. This is another thing about Star Trek and canon that drives me nuts, is that people will go, well, we've never seen that before, so how can we do that? Well, because we just never saw it before, because
the universe.
The stories that were told to date just didn't cover that aspect of that culture or that particular thing. One of the things I used to hear after when Enterprise, they're like, the Xindi, we never heard of the Xindi before in later iterations of Star Trek. So how could they have this whole race that they were now interacting with? Well, because the stories that were told in TOS and TNG never had a Xindi story. That's, or, hey, I never saw a Xindi walking through the Enterprise D. Well, maybe you just never saw that deck where that Xindi person happened to be.
Okay,
so just because you don't see something in canon later doesn't mean that it couldn't be part of the world earlier.
Right.
So
while they may have made a reference to say the clone, not the Clone Wars, what were they called? The augments,
okay.
The Eugenics Wars.
So they make a reference to the Eugenics Wars, but how many references did they make to World War I?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
we had
that's
World
what it
War
is.
II, but
Yeah, they may. Well, yeah, lots of Nazis because
Yeah, you have to
they-
have a space
well,
Nazi.
yeah, you have to have a space Nazi, namely because the
Are we gonna
Paramount
take bets?
the Paramount costume shop had a lot of Nazi uniforms.
Are we going to take a bet on how soon a Nazi shows up in Discovery? What's what is it, the thing on the internet where as soon as you mention Nazis, it's somebody's law? When you have an argument on the internet, and once you get to Nazis, that's where you've hit that moment. Star Trek series have that too. Like, when are we going to have a Nazi show up in a series?
But and you're right. It's like, how much money are we going to place on that one? And I'll tell you what, that's not a bet I'm going to take. I'm just not. It's not. I know myself.
I think this will be the one series that we're not going to see any of it.
I
hope
would
so.
be very upset. I would be very upset if we saw a Nazi. I really would.
Yeah.
But it really does come down to that. It's like, how many mentions of specific history points are there? It doesn't mean that history didn't exist. And that's what I look at that. And that's where I kind of look. And it also goes straight to the heart of a lot of complaints that writers had, right? Which was, oh, I don't want to be bound by quote unquote canon. I don't want to be bound by it. I find it too restricting. And I always told them, and I still verbalize going, how can you say that? All canon is a slight, even though we have 700 episodes, canon is merely nothing than a baseline for story that allows you to jump off and create even more canon. Fan fiction writers do it all the time, and it's part of the reason why I love reading Dayton Ward, because he gets that. He was a fan fiction writer beforehand, and he understood that what people call canon is merely just a readily available amount of information from which to jump from. And that's what I'm excited about with regards to Discovery, because it's going to fill in missing pieces. Just because you think you know what happened doesn't mean that that's what happened. So there, we're about to find out what happened between Enterprise and TOS. So just have a fun ride with it. It's going to be a blast.
Yeah, the other thing that I've seen posted about is the fact that sort of people going, fan, oh, we love storytelling and IDIC and inclusivity and everything else. Writers, wow, we're going to look to go in a different direction. And it's just like, that doesn't mean those ideals are not in it. It means that the relationship between the characters will be different, because Gene Roddenberry didn't like to have sort of negativity between the crew and stuff like that. But you're going to get that in this one, because it's like, even in one of the trailers, you've actually got this thing, one of the characters saying, open fire now. And it's just like, Starfleet doesn't open fire first. It's just like, well, we should do. And there's going to be lots of things like that we would have never have got, because when you work with other people, you have these disagreements. It's never all, oh yes, we all agree.
Especially when you're dealing with what is still technically a relatively new, by the stretch of time that we have for Star Trek, right? Which is this 24 or 2360 something into the 2400s. You've got this 100-year period of time between Enterprise and next gen DS9 Voyager period of time, and losing my train of thought is this idea that a still relatively young relationship between Vulcans and Earth.
Yeah.
And so they're still going to have the conflictual. Let's face it. I mean, Spock was a challenge for many of the humans on board the Enterprise in the original series. We're now dealing with a human that was raised by Vulcans. She was raised with this sense of logic, and she's going to have that conflicting stuff within herself. And how is she going to fit into what she sees as a purely logical move and a completely ridiculous one by the Federation, right? Which is, we don't fire first. It's always act in self-defense. which means that you have to wait for the first punch to be thrown. It always goes to this kind of idea of karate, right? Which is you never throw the first punch. Karate is only meant in defense. And if you use it as an offense, you are actually using it backwards to what to what the martial art was about. And that's kind of that idea of, well, logically, you want to be able to survive your battle. But at the same time, is she missing the bigger picture by saying, we don't want to be the aggressor? And it's a great, great piece. And I think a lot of you know what? How many fans have bitched and moaned about, well, the Federation, that's so stupid. The Federation wouldn't do that. Oh my God, we have a show that might actually explore those things now.
Yeah. One of the things in chat, Hippie John has said, like in the comics, it's canon until someone needs it not to be. Different showrunners make different shows, and that is honestly great.
That's true.
That's the thing. And even with what we have already, like warp speed, how many times in TOS do they say, oh, head to warp 14 or whatever? And then, especially like Voyager, Threshold, it's warp 10 is the maximum. Sort of lore gets rewritten as it needs to be. Yep. Lore is just the most recent thing to be released.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. I'm thrilled with the way that the new show looks. I am very thrilled that the other thing that thrills me, you guys, is if you got to see or hear anything about the panel that took place yesterday. Did you guys get to hear any of it?
No.
Mike? Did you get to see or hear any of the tweets or about what took place on the panel?
Yesterday I was pretty busy trying to write up these show notes. I'm trying to check my links here. Maybe I have something, I'm not sure.
Well, the trekmovie.com and treknews.net, both of them live tweeted the panel. And a lot of shows and, I should say, a lot of other news carriers carried what happened in the panel. And the one thing I have to say, you guys, is that right off the bat, more so than I've seen in a very long time, is you can see how personally attached the cast is to each other. It was hard to deny that these actors and actresses truly became very good friends very quickly. They love what they're doing. They're having a great time. And you can just tell they're having the time of their lives. And when you've got a cast that's that way, that's a really good sign. That's a very, very good sign. And it's going to show in the final product. So when it comes down to you could just see not just personal or respect of an actor to an actor or a coworker to a coworker. This was a group of people that you could tell truly loved being around one another. And that's great, great news for a show.
And from what I've heard is a lot of them are actually fans of Star Trek as well. Because I know in previous incarnations that they tended to not go to people who were fans, because we've heard from a lot of actors where they've said, well, I secretly was a fan, but I tried really hard not to make it look like that, because they were really looking for people who weren't, because they didn't want these sort of fanboys and girls sort of going all funny on the thing. And we've had even, I think it's James Masters, I think someone had said about him. He was supposed to have played a role in one of the movies, but he completely fanboyed out and completely screwed up his audition in front of Patrick Stewart, and basically he didn't get the role, even though from what he made it sound like, it was actually written for him.
Wow.
I think that I heard that on Priority One, that story, and it's just like, this is why they often don't go with fans of the thing, but this time a lot of the crew
Yeah.
seem to be fans, and I think that's made a big difference to the way they
And
interact with each other.
and they're also a group of actors that do not, right off the bat, you can tell they do not mind interacting with the fandom. They don't, this is a group of people who aren't upset about getting, about getting cast in Star Trek. They don't
Mm.
mind it. They're happy. Not only are they happy about it, they're celebrating with the fandom about their roles. And a perfect example of that is after the conference or after the panel yesterday, the entire group of people that were on the stage, everybody from Sonequa Martin Green to Jason Isaacs, and Doug Jones, everybody, they went straight over to the Star Trek Discovery museum, so to speak, the display that they had, and surprised all of the Star Trek fans that were there. Just as a surprise. They don't mind being around the fans. You can't, you know what? We haven't had that in a long time.
But you know what I think part of that
Go ahead.
is that over maybe like the last 10 years too, there's been more acceptance of, for lack of a better term, geekdom. I mean, when you and I first started going to things like Comic-Con, when we went in 2010, and we started going to cons earlier than that. There was still that kind of like, it's Star Trek, and a little bit of a I don't want to say a stigma, but I mean, there was that kind of, a lot of people were like, oh, look at that. And I think nerddom in general has been much more accepted in the last few years. And I think that a lot of actors have started to realize that instead of saying being pigeonholed by their parts, they can parlay their parts into things. And the more they interact with fans, I think they're starting to discover that that's going to help carry on to other endeavors. I mean, we've met actors who started with Star Trek, and now we follow them into other things that they've done beyond that. And I think there's a realization that just like anything else, it's almost like customer service. It's like the more I interact with these fans, the more they're going to become fans of other things I do. So it's marketing. It's brilliant marketing for themselves, and I think they're starting to get more in tune with that. And I think it's been especially over the last maybe 8 to 10 years.
It's I agree. I think too it may have differed too for the film stars. Again, when you're, I don't know, is there still kind of, I see less and less of a breakdown between actors who are doing television versus films. And, Chris Pine and Zoe Saldana and Zachary Quinto, and although Zachary has no problem doing television, there was definitely a standoffish thing where I'm sure that they didn't want to get typecast.
I think
Especially because they were more iconic characters than new ones.
I also think that people like Stephen Amell, he plays Arrow on Arrow, the Green Arrow. He has been a big proponent of conventions. I think he has done a lot to ensure to encourage other actors, other people playing within these genre shows to do it, to step up. I mean, sure, I'm sure the duffel bags full of cash probably have something to do with it as well, but but it's people like that have had good experiences at conventions that encourage others to not be so closed off to the whole idea. I think that has also contributed to a lot more accepting of the convention going experience and of fan culture.
Yeah.
Is having other celebrities who are comfortable in that environment come forward and say, hey, it's not as dorky as you think it is. It's not as bad as you think it is.
I think you're right. I think that a lot of that has to do with, well, the comfort level that they are around certain fans. And let's face it, you have to have, as an actor, and we've all seen it, you have to have a certain exceptional level of patience with a lot of fans, because so many fans don't have um I want to say it gently because it's not necessarily a negative thing. It's just how people are. So many fans get starstruck, right?
Yeah,
So they
yeah.
so there's a level of social awkwardness that goes to what they do. And actors are merely people who are, promoting their jobs, promoting their work. And while they do want to interact with the fandom, it also they're also people. And when a socially awkward situation comes through, they need to show almost a concerted effort to interact with certain types of fans who may not necessarily react in a very comfortable way. So, eh, and there's also, let's face it, on the fringe, there's some freaky ass people out there.
Well, I remember when we went to a con, when we first started going to STLV regularly, um, that it was right when the JJ movies were coming out, and so it was a big deal when some of the actors from the new movies were gonna be at the con, and so it was interesting to watch some of those panels. So we went to them, and I'm thinking specifically of one. I think it was the one with John Cho, and
Oh,
he
yeah.
actually seemed a little nervous because it was the first time he had been in a situation where he was actually in front of a big live audience like that, you know, talking about himself, doing stories and everything. And there was a little bit of, you could tell there was a little bit of nervousness there in this new aspect of his career that he probably hadn't dealt with in other things. It was interesting to watch him get more comfortable as the panel went on. And
Right.
I've noticed that happened with a lot of those actors that were kind of new to the fandom, new to going to cons. I think they're getting more comfortable with it and understanding it now because, like I said, they understand this is a great way to market themselves.
To market themselves,
Um,
even for more than just the roles that they're being that are appearing for.
Thing is,
right.
we've also had in the last decade, especially, that being a fan and interactions with the fans have become more common with regards to after shows. Because
Right.
you've got like The Walking Dead, you've got Game of Thrones, and so many others, where there is an after show talking about the fandom, interacting with fans, interacting with the stars. It's a lot more commonplace now than it ever used to be, and that's only started happening in the last sort of 10 years.
And you're going to start seeing a lot more of it. We're going to have an after show for Discovery. And the reason why is because it provides the streaming service with additional content, right? So it's providing the streaming service with additional content. And as we start to see the conversion from what most people call free TV or network TV into streaming service based entertainment, it's also an additional amount of content that keeps those people engaged in the show, in the streaming service, and keeps them subscribed. So that's what we're going to start seeing a lot more of. And as we start to see streaming services blossom, the competition among streaming services is inevitably going to get very, very tight because a lot of people are going to say, "Oh, well, I'll subscribe to CBS All Access, but I may not want to subscribe to NBC or whatever." We're going to start seeing almost every channel that you currently see on cable will inevitably end up with some form of streaming service, or maybe even a large block of it. Like, say, NBC Universal owns several channels, right? They own Sci-Fi, they own NBC, they own E Entertainment. I think they own probably 10 or 15 different channels.
It'd be like
that
almost like its own little streaming cable package.
Exactly. So now what you're going to do is you're going to buy the NBC package, and it might be $20 a month, but you get all of those
You get
channels,
10 different streaming
10 different
channels.
streaming services. So you're going to start seeing that in the future. And I'm sorry, guys, it's just the way it's going to be. but at the same time, it also is great. It's really, really great for the consumer. Why? Because we no longer have to worry about whether or not Mr. Clean is getting enough ad revenue, to show, well, how are the ratings doing and how are the ads coming through? They're no longer going to have the power of censorship. Who holds the power with what kind of content we get? Us. We're the subscribers. It's our money that now is on the line. Beforehand, it was just our time. Now it's our actual fucking money. So if we don't start seeing these quality shows, we're going to leave. We get to
Yep.
use it. And the ad revenue won't come in because the people won't want to say, well, we're not getting the subscribers you used to. This is power we've never had before. And it's up to us to make sure that we use it. So, the good news is, I think that we're going to start seeing the Star Trek that we really want. And I think that they're not going to screw us over.
I kind of agree with that. Because we're talking streaming, I want to draw attention to Stargate Returns with Stargate
Yes,
Origins.
I know you wanted to talk. Okay, tell us what's up. What happened here?
Okay, so basically, MGM has announced that they are going to be launching a new streaming service that is going to be Stargate centric, from what I understand. All of the current Stargate episodes and so TV shows, movies, all that stuff is going to be made available on their own streaming service. And they are going to be launching a new, I believe it's 10 episode web series. The details on it are kind of still very vague, but it's but what they have said, it's either a prequel or a reboot type of thing. We're not exactly sure, but it's kind of interesting. But however, my concern is here's a franchise, just a franchise, trying to be its own streaming service. I'm worried that it's not a lot of content. Although Stargate has 16, 17 seasons worth of television, so there's a lot there. But I mean, I'm just worried that if it's just that, how successful is this one streaming service going to be?
Therein lies.
Also,
it's an interesting experiment.
Also, how expensive is this going to be? I mean, I would not want to pay more than $1 or $2 for just a Stargate streaming service, and that's with the caveat that we're getting new content.
But I understand those. Now, did I hear it right that the episodes are only 10 minutes long each?
That I don't know.
I haven't heard that.
You have heard that?
No, I hadn't heard that. I heard that there's 10 episodes.
10 episodes. But some people were saying it was a short, but the articles that I've seen have not confirmed that it's a short. They've only confirmed that there's 10 episodes and it's going to be like a prequel-ish type of scenario. But again, the idea of a franchise being its own streaming service, what do you guys think?
Well, like I said, I think it's going to be an exceptionally risky and unusual experiment. That is truly, and I do mean that, that's truly relying on a group of people who are solely Stargate fans, really, to be able to fund a subscription type service, where there's no other outside content that they might be interested in. I think it's an extremely risky endeavor. I really do.
Yeah, I thought so too. I mean, CBS had the benefit of having all of CBS's content, past and present, and then what's coming out in the future. They at least had that. This doesn't, from what I understand. It's not going to be all of MGM's content. It's just, from what I understand,
it's called Stargate Command, right?
Yeah.
Because I do wonder if this is MGM tipping their toe in the market to find out whether or not it's worth MGM doing what CBS has done. because after MGM went bankrupt, it took them years to get funding to recover from it. And since then, we've only just had the last couple of Bond movies come out. And really, their biggest collections are James Bond and Stargate. Now, at least with Stargate, is you start off with the subscription service for this brand new prequel. They then extend that to be all the Stargate collection. They can then extend that to move over to an MGM collection, because they'll then have a load of other stuff as well, because they've got all like the Tom and Jerry's and all the other collections that they have with that stuff. So I think this is them tipping their toe, saying, can we make go of this? And especially as science fiction fans tend to be more forward thinking when it comes to sort of new technologies, I think that's what's happening in this case.
Certainly, but again, I think pricing is going to be an issue.
Yep.
I mean, that's going to be a big issue. I mean, if they expect $5 to $6 like CBS All Access, this is going to fail.
I agree.
Because Stargate by itself doesn't have the audience, and I don't think there's enough encouragement to pull $6 out of it. $1, yes.
But you know what, though?
Might even be stretching it, but
it depends too. What? Okay.
That's what I would pay. No more than $2 for.
And for somebody who is a big fan, now here's the thing: if they had decided to create a Star Trek only channel, right? I think a lot of people would pay $5 a month. I really do, because right now there's a bunch of people who subscribe to Twitch channels for $3 or $4 a month. Twitch channels to watch somebody else play video games. There's a lot of people who would do that. So they have an interest in that, and therefore they are going to throw their money behind that interest. Be that as it may, I'm not sure that there's enough fans to bankroll a new, I just don't think that there's enough fans. I don't think the market is wide enough to make it a truly profitable success. I don't even think it would work with Star Trek. I really don't.
WWE, the wrestling organization, they did it, but they had decades, like 4 decades worth of content that they could pull from, and from what last I checked, they were even struggling a little bit with it. So it's a tough business. It's a tough business to get into, but at the same time, it's a business that everyone has to get into if they want to survive into the coming. At the same time, they have to also, with increased competition for our dollars, that's also going to be a factor that they have to contend with. If they price themselves too high, where the consumer views it as not enough value, it's not going to work.
Yeah, I think, Deanna, I want to make sure that everybody understood what I said. I don't think that an all-Star Trek channel would be successful. I don't. I think a lot of people would pay, but I don't think it would be inevitably profitable. I think that you would need other content to back that up, which is why Discovery is considered to be an anchor show for CBS All Access, which has quite literally hundreds of other shows and films available for you to watch for that total $5.99 a month.
I mean, let's move it to cable for a moment.
Sure.
Look at Heroes and Icons, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that cable channel.
Right.
They have all of Trek on there.
Yep.
Right? So, and that is a large block of content that they play during prime time. So that is, I think, their anchor, right? Would you describe that as their anchor shows?
Absolutely.
Okay, so, but they have to fill other hours. They have to have other content, and they do fill with other. They backfill that with other shows from other genres and other, franchises that come before it.
And they're really smart about the way that they do that, right? So they have Star Trek in the evening. It starts at like 7 o'clock at night and it goes through like 11. It's each episode, right? TOS,
Mhm.
TNG,
It's
DS9, Voyager.
It's the 5 series in chronological order, and each series is in episode order.
Correct.
So they
And
have that block in the evening.
right. So it's like it's a 5-hour block in the evening. And then during the day, they have what's called the day shift, right? It's all cop shows.
Right. And then they also have a section where they do a whole series of classic westerns.
Westerns on the weekends.
So people can pick and choose which ones they're interested in and see those. Yeah.
But
So-
Star Trek is their anchor. It's
probably, I would say so.
Yeah. So because it's in prime time. So I would suspect that a solely Star Trek series or streaming service would still struggle because it would only be able to, fill so much content, so much time. There wouldn't be people streaming all day, every day.
No.
With CBS All Access, you can do that and never repeat something new. You know what I mean?
Right.
So it's one of those things. Start this Stargate Command streaming channel. It's going to be one of those things where you subscribe for a month or two, long enough to watch everything you want to watch, and then you can turn it off because there's nothing really to get you to come back to it or to keep a sub going.
Looking at the business model that's coming out from Stargate right now, I have to say I'm very skeptical as to its inevitable success, especially since, and Snowman earlier in the chat room at least confirmed what I said, and that was the episodes were going to be 10 minutes long of the new content. I don't think that's going to be enough for people to care.
No.
It's I don't know. I'm worried about that. And if it's MGM's quote unquote first foray into, what they believe is going to be a wider streaming service, I think they're doing it backwards. I think they needed to throw their content onto a streaming service and make Stargate a part of that, and then allow Stargate fans to access the rest of the MGM films.
Yeah.
So that's my opinion.
I agree.
Well, you know what, you guys? We're towards the end of the show. And we were worried we weren't going to have enough to talk about.
What?
When if we never got enough to talk about?
Oh, there it is. Snowman Frost put the link in the chat room that verified that the 10 episodes will be 10 minutes in length. Holy crap.
Yeah, that definitely.
Oh, dude.
And in the initial article that I had shared, they had mentioned that they want.
Thank you, Snowman. I appreciate that.
They want to be able to add, to develop more content after this. I mean, that's all fine and good, but the streaming channel has to survive, and right now I'm concerned. Yeah, I'm concerned. I don't think it's going to.
Yeah,
the fact that they're 10 minutes episodes, yeah, it's not. I don't think it will.
That's you know what? They're going to get subscribers. They're going to get the hardcore fans that want to go in and watch it. They're going to get those, but that's not going to be enough to ensure survival of the actual channel.
I'd buy that for $1. I mean, I think that's I think that's as far as I'm going to go at this point. Yeah, especially now that it's only 10 minutes. I'd buy that for $1. That's it.
And after all 10 were released, so you could go back and watch them all at once.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. That kind of does it for today's show. What kind of announcements do we have, Mr. Mike?
Let's see. Live, Love, Play. They've got a couple of new things up. Ross is back online, so he's been busy trying to get things posted. So Lego Adventures of Big Dude, Little Dude. He's got some postmortem on his site. Check out his Twitch, his YouTube. Support him on the Patreon. All that good stuff. Semantic Shenanigans. I shared last week the post that discussed the Seuss trial. So if you haven't seen that, go to the website and check it out. That's all I can think of at the moment.
Cool. Steve, what's going on in your life? Where can people listen to you on all the other podcasts that you're on?
I don't think we got time to go through all of them. But yeah, people can find me online at Midnight Shadow 7. That's night spelt NITE and the number 7.
Cool.
And don't forget to like the G&T Facebook page and share it with your friends. We're still looking to get the numbers up.
And a big thank you, as always, to my husband and my better half, Kojiro Vance, Alan.
Hey, thanks for having me on today. I'm glad I could help out.
We appreciate it. All right, you guys, that kind of does it for today's episode. Next week, the 30th of July, we will be back with episode 289. Until then, live long and prosper.
Kabla.
So long, everybody.
Goodbye.